Good evening, afternoon, as Vince would put it, everyone. Thursday was Thanksgiving in the USA. Friday was Black Friday pretty much everywhere in the world, even though we don't eat turkey and watch football.
It's okay. Well, actually, I did eat turkey. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, Saturday was Saturday. Today's Thursday, and tomorrow is Black Monday. I guess that sums up the long weekend for most of us.
There's a thing called Black Monday?
No, Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
Cyber Monday, all right.
Yeah.
You need to get all of your shopping days straight, Martin.
Yeah. I spent all of Friday at work first looking for Black Friday deals online, and then my boss asked if we should just go out and look for deals instead. So we did that. It was a productive day at work. Anyhow, welcome to the European Ham Radio Show. Beneath me is Mark N6MTS. Tobias is coming on a little bit late today. He had some things going not his way today. So, and Walt's on a flight, and that pretty much sums it up. Welcome, Mark.
Hello.
Week in a row.
Yeah. Well, I keep saying getting me to shut up is the hard part. Nobody believes me.
That tends to be a problem when we invite you, Ham Radio Workbench.
Whoa,
we lost him.
Was that your way of making him shut up?
Why does it always seem like it's my fault when stuff like that happens?
Nope, that one was my fault. Apparently, login in StreamYard in the upper right-hand corner is not the login I need to do to be able to type comments in the YouTube. Sorry about that. Hey, y'all.
As I was saying, getting members of the Ham Radio Workbench to shut up on stream is almost impossible. I don't think we've ever done one of the Ham Radio Workbench related streams on time.
Nope.
Welcome everyone that's watching and in the chat. We don't really have a topic today. We're just going to see where it goes, what happens. We're going to talk ham radio. And first of all, our ham radio week. And Kjetil, how has your ham radio week been?
It's been a bit active yesterday and today. Had quite a few, or 3 Parks on the Air activations. Today I also did Bunkers on the Air activation, so that was really fun. And Short Skip on 20 has been strangely good. Like I've had QSOs with Norway on 20 meters with Southern Norway. So I did Park to Park yesterday with a guy near you, Martin. And today I heard you guys over in Sweden on 20 meters when you were running 5 whiskey, and that is kind of unusual.
But not only 5 watts though. We ran 5 watts on a ham stick on top of the car.
Yeah, and you weren't strong, but on the other hand, you were fully readable.
We got a 5.8 from New York State.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
On 5 watts on a ham stick. So no one tell me that that's not possible with 5 watts on a ham stick.
QRP works, man. QRP works.
I didn't get any DX today, but yesterday I met got one of the people you watched the football match with, Martin, Kazakhstan, on 20 meters or 12 meters and over to Canada. But that was with 100 watts. And, it works, of course.
And with Canada, I guess that's one of our usual hunters in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. Is that correct?
Yeah, New Brunswick. So, but I'm starting to like this running QRO as well. 100 watts down at the beach with wire antenna over salt water seems to work for some reason.
Don't tell Walt he thinks all you need by salt water is 20 watts and a G90.
Yeah, that works
well. Yeah, he does well with that. So, yeah.
Quick question. Are you doing that with a vertical antenna or horizontal?
I'm using a quarter wave ground plane antenna.
Okay.
For 20, which it's not it's something you usually make for 2 meters, but it works really well for 20 as well.
Yeah. Especially when you're using the saltwater as your ground plane.
Oh, yeah. Issue is that I actually had to change the antenna quite a lot today when I was down at the saltwater, because I've cut and tuned mine for working up in the mountains. And when you suddenly get a good ground plane under it, then things change. So I had to be a bit creative.
Yeah. Nice.
But, it's fun. So, I think that's pretty much my week when it comes to activations.
Yeah, but that's pretty good. That's a good ham radio moment of the week. And since we don't have a subject, you don't need to hold back those yet if you have more.
Yeah, I finally got around to making a video again, a hiking video. And it's been so long since I've done like a proper SOTA video. Became really short though, but because I messed up all of the photography when I filmed it back in April. But at least I get something out there. So that's fun.
And that says a little bit about your production time on your YouTube videos. So
usually I'm like
Guilty
the
as
same
charged.
day or a few days after, but like, when you use more than one camera, it actually takes a bit of clipping and cutting and so on as well.
yep.
And I also produced 2 other videos from that trip already. So
There's a reason I only use one camera when making my videos, and that's exactly that.
If I had more time, I would have made you a shorter video. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So that was fun. Continued my change over to Anderson power poles. I'm starting to really like those things, and it's I just need to get some more colorful ones. It's so boring with only the red and blacks. But
Yeah, I was working on a product a couple of years ago that was going to use a lot of Anderson power poles, so I ended up buying a bag of 1,000 of each of the reds and blacks, and then a couple thousand of the Tobias of
guys.
the PC board mount clips. And they're a lot cheaper when you buy them in 1,000, but you kind of need to have a use for them to buy them in 1,000. And I've just been slowly using them over the years, and that was definitely a buy once, cry once. But now that I have them, I really enjoy having the endless supply of Anderson power poles.
yeah, you have for the rest of your life.
Oh,
Same as
absolutely. And they're not the best connectors, but they're just so convenient.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So that's been fun. I think that's pretty much what I've been doing this week when it comes to radio. Been working a bit as well, So
Yep.
Yep.
Mark, how was your
Yes.
ham radio week been?
Ooh. This is not fair. This is not fair.
Oh dear.
I got a new toy.
Memo.
Yeah.
That is nice.
So I haven't opened it yet. It literally showed up yesterday afternoon while I was, excuse me, dealing with my wife's vertigo issues. So I haven't had a chance to play with it, but the company bought that for me because I'm going to be using it to test eggnogs antennas and amp nogs and T-nogs and various other nogs that I have. But yeah, so that just showed up. I'd been wanting to buy it for about a month, but I'm like, Black Friday's right around the corner. ICOM has already had a coupon that's good to the end of the year for 150 off. Are they really likely to do something else for Black Friday? I don't know. And then DX Engineering dropped the price by $100. Purchase, and there we go. And it just showed up yesterday.
How much did you pay for it?
$1,650 or $1,645 US, so $1,645 US.
Yeah, that's
not
not
bad.
too bad.
No,
And it's a really nice rig.
yeah.
If you're into 2 meter 70 and 23.
Yeah, I don't think there's any 23 activity around here. I may put up an antenna and try and create some. I don't know, but it is more than anything. It's going to be used for satellite work for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've used that for FM satellites on field day, and it's a fantastic satellite receiver. And
The other
having that waterfall when you're chasing satellites and adjusting the Doppler shift, that's just amazing.
Well, I mean, you can control it by a computer. The Doppler shift can be handled for you automatically.
Yeah.
But if you're the type who likes to twiddle the knob as you go, then yes, the waterfall is nice. For me, the selling point was the Mac OS software and iOS software written by the same guy that does the Mac and iOS software for Flex. Marcus, I'm going to need somebody who's a native German speaker to correct my pronunciation, but it's like Roskoch or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I can't even remember how to spell it. I have to look it up every time. But Marcus, the guy who does the Smart SDR stuff for Flex on Mac, he does one for the 9700 as well, and it's just as remotable as the Flex is. And once I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to bother with transverters on my Flex. I'm getting this.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm starting to think about transverters on my Flex, but the last time I bought a transverter, I ended up selling it 3 months later on because I didn't use it. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
Isn't that German guy the same that made the software we use on the iPhone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
that's
the 705, it's for the
Yes.
705, the 7610, and the 9700, isn't it?
Maybe 7300.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
70
same software.
7300, but only with a local USB connection
True.
and no remoting.
Correct. Marcus
That
and
thing-
Jan Roskoch.
That thing is,
Roskosch.
That thing has saved the activations for me when nothing works, nothing wants to cooperate, and you can just flip your phone out and connect it over Wi-Fi to the 705, and you can do for FD4 contacts, and your activation is saved. And that's fantastic work on his part. And not at all jealous about that radio. And
I've been lusting after this radio for years, and so I'm glad I finally have the justification to buy it.
Don't worry, Bob. I know that at some point you're going to get one.
Yeah, you can buy one too, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll talk about that when it's my turn. But yeah, I just bought a radio.
The 706?
Yeah.
Yep.
How did we guess that?
That thing is going in my car. I'm trying to minimize the amount of holes I put in the interior of my car, so that's just getting an all band radio for the car.
Very good excuse. Very good excuse.
Very good.
Yeah.
Rationalizing.
It
is
might
my thing.
have something to do that you tried mine and you said, this is a really nice radio.
Actually, I would have bought it anyway because it just fits in the car. But yeah, I was surprised. About the size. I was thinking that thing was a lot bigger, but it's quite
But
sized.
I'm just wondering, couldn't you have used your 857 in order to have an all-mode, all-band radio in the car?
I could, but I just a few months ago I spent more money than I spent on this radio on getting the brand new ICOM tuner. So I need an ICOM radio to connect to it. I'm gonna put that tuner on my roof right next to the 2.7 meter ICOM whip that you get. That looks kind of like a military vehicle whip with a huge spring on the bottom. I'm gonna put all that on a big roof rack on top of the car. It's the plan.
Because why do we need parking garages?
Yeah.
I mean, we
it's
can
removable. The
only
whip is
hope
removable.
for that Apple never starts building radios. Yeah, that will bankrupt you, Bob.
Yeah.
It does, they do create radios. They're some of the most expensive radios there is.
Yes,
and I
indeed.
I got some really good 2.4 gig radios right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what the spring is on the bottom of the antenna, Mark. So it folds down automatically when you go into the parking garages.
I did the smart move of trading cars with my wife this week, and she did not think when driving into a parking garage. Let's put it that way.
Oh, do you need new antennas?
No, I don't. I've done worse myself. I drove into a parking garage which had about 20 centimeters above my roof on my car with the half wave 2 meter antenna on top.
You took her car, and you're blaming her for not thinking.
Yeah.
All right. How did that go? How'd that go?
She admitted that she'd driven my car into a parking garage and said, "Doing, doing, doing."
I know that sound well. Yes.
Your car is making strange noises, Morten. You should fix it. Yeah.
I think the deal is you're supposed to stop after the first doing.
Before we go into more tangents, Tobias, how has your ham radio week been?
Not so much ham radio. Well, hang on a second. I have one ham radio moment of my week. Yeah, my very nice Kenwood display cabinet in all its glory. So that was nice. And hang on a second. Now I have to figure out how to switch pictures. And yeah, then I had a go at my TH79, and this is as good as I got the display, but in the meantime, a few more columns has disappeared and reappeared. So I think this conductive zebra strip under the LCD connector is still flexing around, and it was really no fun at all to fix that. If you have a look here, that is the part that goes against that conductive rubber. And well, there was one pin completely missing, so I shoehorned a wire in, and a few of the other pins were broken, basically. Yeah, so I don't know. It looks like, you know, when it presses against a plastic ridge here, the screen bit is like a plastic, and the yellow bit is basically the flex cable, and it pressed against it, and it somehow broke off. Several pins were completely broken off, so I had to basically tin the whole row, and this is how good it got. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad, but of course I'm a perfectionist. I would love to have it completely working.
I'm impressed. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I am impressed.
And I'm going to say you're not a perfectionist. You're a German.
Yeah, okay. And I'm not sure if that's an insult or not, but
that's a compliment.
None of us are.
That is a compliment right now.
Yeah.
okay.
Ooh, I
And
like
this
your
is what I spent most of the weekend basically completely cleaning that out.
Oh.
I have not done anything with the pump last year when I had my broken shoulder, so it was just running in a disgusting state for ages, and I've finally found time to clean it up. So this is the one time of the year, or maybe 2 times in the year, when it looks nice, and then it will just go downhill from there.
Yeah, that looks beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
The good news about planted freshwater tanks, by the way, you've hit another one of my hobbies. The good news about planted freshwater tanks is that they're kind of self-maintaining, right? Like, you've got an entire ecosystem in there. The whole nitrogen cycle is a closed loop in there. As long as the plants continue to grow, that will keep the water pretty clean.
Yep.
Yes, you need a certain minimum amount of water, right? Then it's pretty stable, yeah. But the smaller the tank gets, the trickier it is.
Is that about a 10-liter tank?
No, that's 64 liter. I don't know how many gallons that is.
No, I can do the math. That's good. That's plenty.
Yeah, but of course you should at least keep an eye on it and cut down the plants and do the fertilizer thing. And sometimes other things are more important, and then it just turns into a disgusting mess.
I love freshwater tanks, planted tanks especially.
I was reading up on hydroponics, and apparently some people they use fish tanks to create the food for the plants in the hydroponic system. So basically, you feed the fish. The fish it takes a dump in the water, and you use that water to feed the plants. That sounded like an excellent idea.
You get the nitrogen for free. Basically, you still need to add potassium, and some things are not in the poop, but at least the nitrogen you get.
I saw some people that couldn't understand why, like, their garden outside their window in one part of the building grew so much more than all of the others, and that was basically because they emptied their aquariums out that window. So,
the grass will really like that one. Yeah.
I noticed you just put up a background of a freshwater tank over there.
Yeah, I had so many aquariums. The biggest I had was, what was it, 100 gallons or so?
100 gallons, okay.
Yeah, or 440 liters. So I had quite a lot of these, but that's a decade back or so. But it's a hobby. Just like radios, you can spend absurd amount of money on it, especially when you start looking at expensive fish.
Yeah,
but it's so fun.
We had a 55-gallon tank in our kind of dining room area for many years, and then one day it kind of started leaking, not slowly, but not like a crack splash. And so I ended up getting a new tank and setting it up, and then less than a year later, we had a crack splash at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and thankfully I woke up when I heard the crack, and I ran out to the kitchen, where this was, and I saw the water and the fish flopping around, and I'm like, I'm going to need help. Went and woke up my wife, and we got all the towels and cleaned everything up. And she's like, I think you need a break from fish tanks for a while until we can handle this a little bit better. And so I haven't had a tank since then, but I definitely want to set up a planted freshwater tank again.
And
That was a lot
ladies
of
and
fun.
gentlemen, welcome to the European Ham Radio and Aquarium Show, where
Yes.
I'm apparently the odd man out. I've never had an aquarium and never felt the need to have an aquarium.
Beautiful.
Speaking about more expensive hobbies, what do you think about remote-controlled helicopters?
Yesterday was the 4-year anniversary of me flying my drone in sub-freezing fog. Not recommended. Since then, I've not flown anything with propellers that go above ground.
Oh,
Have you done aquatic drones?
Nope.
Okay.
yeah, that could be
That would
really
be fun too.
Yeah.
And let's go on to continue our ham radio moments of the week. I think it's were you done, Tobias?
Yeah,
By the way,
I was done.
Bob, what's your moment of the week?
Yeah, let's see. I probably have several. I can salt water as ground. Yeah, yeah. Why not? I'll just replace that with another comment.
Oh, sorry.
Nope. Let's see. Try again and explain myself first. Apparently, Renee was in my pileup. I was on a summit today, and it started raining, basically, and I was ill prepared for that. So the 705 started getting wet, and I started getting a bit of a panic. So I just had to cut the pileup short. But yeah, it was good to be up. Let's see if I can share a picture from the summit. That would be this one, I think. Allow. Yeah. Maybe
Beautiful.
if I do this.
Woo.
That didn't help. Yeah. It was foggy and it was wet and it was slippery. But it was good to be back on the mountains in Norway. I haven't been on a real summit since Germany, and so basically winter bonus season started today. So that is normally a 2-pointer. It's about 550 meters above sea level. But you get December, January, February, and March. You get 3 extra points. So it's a total of 5 points. So it makes the trip worthwhile. So I'm hoping to get a few of those in before there's too much snow. I've been up on this summer in the wintertime, and about half of that stone thing there is visible above the snow. So you get a lot of snow up there. And yeah, that's let's see, that's one thing. Yeah, of course, I have a slight impulse control issues, as I think I've mentioned before. So
I want to hear where this goes.
I came across this one on Facebook. That's in Norwegian, sadly, but it's a 705. No, it's not. It's a 706 Mark II-G, which I think I paid 5,200 Norwegian. That's how much is that in American money? Anyone? About 500.
500. Let's call
Yeah,
it
450.
Yeah, I think
706 is a great radio.
yeah,
It is.
and,
It's a
I've been
fantastic radio.
I've been wanting that thing for a long time, and I thought that was a really good price. So I just I went for
shoot.
it.
It does VHF and UHF as well?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's-
did not
it's-
know that.
It's a perfect radio for putting in your car. If you just want to screw one radio into the interior of your car, then that's it's good. And it's possible to use create a separation kit, so you can put the radio somewhere convenient and just display where it needs to be. So yeah, looking forward to trying it out.
Did you get the separation cables for that?
Not from him. I ordered them from Limared, is it called?
Yeah.
I think.
I was going to say that because Limited has some ICOM to RJ45 connectors, so
Those-
you can use a Cat5 cable for the separation cable.
They're on the way.
Nice.
So yeah, there was that, and
But that's a fantastic radio. That's been my go-to POTA radio for I think almost 2 years now, because it just works. It never fails, and it's. I think if anything's going to survive a nuclear war, it's that radio.
yeah, that's my hope, and just getting that in the car, getting the I think it's called the 730, the new tuner from ICOM, isn't it?
Yeah.
Supposed to have a bit more L and a bit more C, so it should do a fairly good job. I'm going to mount that on the roof rack along with the ICOM whip, which I think is about 2.7 meters long. So basically, I should be able to do HF radio while driving around.
Nice.
And that radio was already Mars modded, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it says any frequency.
Because those radios are so old. So if you get the European version, 40 meters only goes to 7.1 megahertz.
Right.
So I had that issue with mine, and Mars modding that required a guy with solid electronics knowledge and a microscope. Because that diode is the smallest thing I've seen, and I've only seen it under the microscope because I couldn't see it with my almost 50-year-old eyes.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with the 991. I did the Mars mode or the wideband, and that was tiny.
You're gonna love that radio. It's a fantastic radio. I love mine. It's one of those radios that I'm never gonna get rid of, but probably will at some point to finance the next radio I don't want to get rid of.
Yeah.
Jeff asks, what filters did you get with it?
Filters did I get with the radio?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't say anything about any filters. So
none then.
Probably none.
But you don't do the beeps and dashes thing, do you?
I want to.
Yeah, then it might be a little bit wide.
Yeah, it could be. I've seen some videos, some really, really cool videos. I think there's a Swede. He has mounted the CW key on the top of his gear stick, and he's driving around and doing CW whilst driving, and that looks so cool. I would love to be able to do that, but that's
just out of curiosity, was that a manual or an automatic?
That was a manual. It's a Saab, an old Saab. It's a very, very cool video. That I should find it, and I'll see if I can find it. I'll share it next Sunday. But
it sounds like you've had quite the week then, Bob.
Yeah, and also I've been building things. Let's see if I can. I think this shows. Morten mentioned that he wanted a USB trigger cable to power pole cable. So I thought, yeah, that sounds like a fun thing to do because I've been wanting that myself. And the one thing that I really miss on the trigger cables is a voltage display to actually see whether the trigger cable did its job. So this one is for mounting power poles in it, and has a small hole here for a voltage display. So you can use the trigger cable, and you'll see that you actually get the 12 volts. And you can also pay attention when you actually key up and see if you lose a lot of the voltage when you do. So it's looking forward to finishing that. I've been 3D printing many of these for the last 2 days. So we'll see. Maybe next week I'll have something to show.
Thank you. You just gave me an idea for a product or the KV4P HT. I don't know if you guys have heard of that I'm doing the hardware design for version 2 and sticking a voltmeter on the line coming from the USB because not all phones can provide enough power to drive that antenna. And so being able to detect the voltage coming in over the USB, that is a fantastic idea. I am adding that to my things to add to the next version.
But that's awesome. Awesome, Bob. Let's see. Is it my turn yet?
I think it is.
Hey, Morten, what's your ham radio moment this week?
Some. I'm not going to say a lot. Let's do the weekend because that's when I really have time to play with the radio. Or let's do Monday first because my G106 arrived after being stuck in customs for quite a while. So I played around with that, tested that a little bit on the bench, took it out for PODA yesterday. Not a spectacular PODA, a ham stick, 20 meters, got about 50 QSOs with 5 watts and a ham stick. So that's probably pretty good. But the cops were driving past me first really slowly, and then they stopped down the street, started backing up, then went forward again. Then they drove past me really slowly once more. And I kind of figured where this was going. So I was kind of prepared when they came up the hill to where I was on top of a hill where I was parked. And I was doing FT4 at the moment. So I just put the laptop away and went out the door. And he just came over to me and said, "Excuse me." He looked a little bit embarrassed. We're just having a bet. We're just wondering, what are you doing?
What particular crime are you in the middle of right now?
Yeah.
And I just like I explained ham radio. He was really interested, and then I asked who won the bet, and the guy that asked won the bet, and I did not ask what the other guy thought. So, yeah. But that was a really fun moment.
Yeah, you have to work on your fake Russian accent. That's always
Yeah.
good.
God.
That's the issue when you're parked next to the port. And harbor security comes by. They want to know if you're a Russian when you're standing there next to the fences along the harbor. That
seems like a joke that would not be well received.
Yeah, that's when you're not operating in the bottom part of 20 meters.
Let's see what else. Today I went on a little bit of an expedition. I'm going to find the right window here and share it. Because Joachim LB4LI asked me about a week ago if I wanted to go to the Grimeton transmitter in southern Sweden, which is the world's only remaining long-wave electromechanical transceiver. It operates on 17.2 kilohertz. And it turns out that today was the 100th anniversary of that station since the first message went out. So they were sending a telegram today. So we got tickets, went down there together with a lot of, let's call them overweight, middle-aged and older men.
Hi.
Went down there. And it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And the scale of that site is just... It's enormous. The antennas are it's a long wire antenna, and you got to remember this is the 17-kilometer band. But the antenna is not more than about 3 kilometers, and that's suspended on a couple of towers. Each tower is 127 meters tall, and they're spaced 380 meters apart.
So 400 feet tall. That is a ginormous tower.
Yeah, that is
several ginormous towers.
Yeah, there's a video coming, and they fired up this. This is the Anderson alternator, which was basically the heart of every RCA long-wave station about 100 years ago.
Question about that: does that use Anderson power poles to connect?
I've got a few they can use if they need.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, you just connect it in parallel.
It's a 250 a 200 kilowatt transmitter. They only ran 80 kilowatts today, though. And there's no electronics involved. It's a pure electromechanical radio, and takes about 30 minutes to start up and tune. And I suspect there's quite a bit of magic involved in the tuning, but it basically consists of salt water, hydraulics, and a variable load. So
wow,
that's but it was just so amazing, and the site has just been preserved so well, and there's a crew of really dedicated people that takes care of the transmitter and fire it up a couple of times a year. It was just amazing. So there's a video coming on that. Seeing sparks fly from relays when they send a telegram. And of course, they didn't do it through punch hole tape today. They did it with an old guy in a Navy uniform and a straight key.
So this is all CW?
All CW.
Yeah, I was curious whether they did any sort of FSK or RTTY.
There were several transmitters on site, though, and later on in the 70s and 80s, they started using RTTY. Okay. But at the beginning, it was purely CW.
Yeah.
RTTY at 200 kilowatts.
No, not with that transmitter. All right. That transmitter is purely CW. But they also had shortwave transmitters there.
I saw, by the way, in one of the pictures, there was a gantry crane in. I really want a gantry crane in my shack now.
Yeah.
But could you even send RTTY at 17.2 kilohertz at the frequency?
Well, it depends on what separation you want.
Yeah.
but it was enormous. And after we were done, we went out to do a couple of POTUS, a couple of ATNOs actually in Sweden. And the first part was a nature preserve right by the road, so I can't figure out why no one has activated it. It was really easy access. We used 5 watts with the Saigu G106, a ham stick on top of the car, and got a 5.7 from New York State, together with about 30 other QSOs, and a part-to-park with Kjetil. So we got more on the 20-meter band and 5 watts than they did on the 17-kilometer band using 80 kilowatts.
But did they get any two-way QSOs? Did they get responses?
I don't know. The listening station was at a completely different place.
But you had the advantage of transistors. They didn't.
We did. Absolutely. We did not need to spend half an hour starting up and tuning the station.
Is that 80 kilowatts radiated or consumed?
I think it's radiated. I'm not going to say. I don't know.
It would be interesting to see what the power consumption is on that. But I would guess they probably have some mechanical storage for that as well.
Well,
in the generator.
Yeah, there is. There was a bit of mention about that, but we were wearing ear protection with some kind of RF link to the guide. But the antennas in the ear protection was obviously directional. So every time I looked down or turned my head, I lost connection and just got static. So it was kind of hard to follow along. And at one point I can look at the guide that was talking, I'd look 90 degrees from him to be able to hear what he was saying.
It could be that there was a little bit of RF interference also.
Could be a little bit of RF interference there. There's also an amateur radio club there. They were doing CW and sideband today. I just remoted into my Flex and checked. It's a 3-hour drive, 225 kilometers, 250 kilometers down there. And he was on CW at 5.9 plus 40 at my site from the Club Shack, because they used one of the log periodical antennas from the 30s made to reach the United States, and a kilowatt of power. That was an 80 meters. So,
but it's 80 meters. That's pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing. And it wasn't even a turn at the right direction towards my house. I was on the back of his beam, and he was still plus 40. So what I'm getting to is there's no coincidence where they placed the site, though. It's good ground, and it's basically salt water all the way to North America.
This is close to Malmö, right?
It's between Gothenburg and Malmö.
Okay.
It's in the middle of the Swedish west coast, pretty much.
There's a little bit of Denmark in between then.
A little bit of Denmark, and considering that the United States isn't west but northwest, there's a little bit of Norway in the way as well. But basically, mostly salt water all the way to Long Island, where the receive station for the station was.
Cool.
But amazing site, and I was there a couple of years ago and really wanted to go back when I was or when they was transmitting, and I did to do that. And we did a second part today as well, also 5 watts and a ham stick. Got about 20 QSOs there with 5 watts and a ham stick, so it's so amazing when my kid's wearing a green shirt.
That's a flying cat.
An upside down flying cat, yes.
Yeah.
I had another stream a couple of years ago where there was a flying head going past behind me.
Give your kid a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I will. But seriously, that station, if you're anywhere in Western Sweden, go there. That's just my pro tip. And even better, if they're transmitting, make sure you go there.
And a lot of these old stations are getting torn down because like upkeep on them is kind of expensive. So at least here in Norway, they get removed as fast as people can do before they get automatically protected because of their age. So if you have something like that close to you, then visit it while you can, because they are going to disappear unless somebody actually keeps them up and running.
The stockbroker's going to need that pretty soon. They want to take our spectrum. I think they could take the 70-kilometer band instead.
Yeah. It's probably not fast enough.
That's hilarious.
But seriously though, go there. I'm a bit in awe of just looking at that thing starting up. And I got a video coming, but it doesn't do the site full justice.
No, and like when you look at something that, it's not only the radio technical part, but it's the architecture. Back in that era, they built the buildings just beautifully. It wasn't just boring functionality.
Yeah.
So it is an engineering marvel. And you see it from really far away when you drive around there.
Yeah, and it helps though that one of the major highways in Norway and Sweden goes right past the antennas.
Yeah.
Bonnet de Douche says that don't forget the long wave transmitter in Finland is being open again for the Arctic Radio 252 long wave later this month.
Cool.
That's awesome. I need to find a radio that has a long wave receiver then.
Yeah, and I didn't understand more than half of that. So if you have any more details, please share.
It's 252 kilohertz long wave. So it's probably an old station, I would guess, but there are quite a few of these. So if you have in your radio, if you switch over to the AM band, you still
there
have that
are not quite a lot of them left though. Radio Luxembourg shut down, BBC shut down, Radio Romania is still operational. I think Radio Romania is the only operational long wave station in Europe right now.
Yeah, if you go to Bergen every now, at least for the Norwegians, then they have something called Bergen Broadcaster, which is also an old like local radio AM radio station, and they have a really nice old museum with all of the gear, but that has been torn down on the antenna side, so you can only see the gear they have inside. But
that station was a medium wave station, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was higher up, some 1 point something megahertz. So,
but it's awesome to see though that these stations are opening up a little bit. Let's see here. Arctic Radio has a co-petition with Chain Tree in Algeria, which broadcasts on 252 long wave. So let's I really want to dive into long wave, and if you want to do Ringway Manchester has along with a lot of different subjects, some videos on long wave as well.
Yeah,
I like his channel. I've been following him since he started covering number stations. Is actually what got me into him.
Yeah, he's Lewis is a really nice guy. He's been on this channel a couple of times, and
it's nice.
He's got a broad knowledge of everything radio, and he is a licensed ham, but I don't think he's ever pressed the PTT on HF.
No, probably not on HF. We should get him to come on and talk about the long wave thing. Maybe we could do something for that event. I have the Hermes Lite 2, and I think that will tune all the way down to these frequencies. So it'll be fun to try. So I'll see if I can look up some schedules for when that transmission is.
Yeah,
I got an old Philips radio that I inherited from my grandfather in the basement. I think that has long wave.
Yeah, that little SDR thing that I got at the auction a few weeks back also does down in that section of the band. So that's possible, and there you can plug in an external antenna. So if not, you can actually pick up a lot from like second-hand stores. The one close to me has a lot of cool old radios. I'm just afraid of buying it and they just going boom when I plug them in. And boom with a lot of power.
Electrum. Oh no, that's another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a different
because,
YouTube channel.
Because they have like paper insulated power cables and all that fun stuff.
So yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of interesting subjects in radio that isn't ham radio though, and I think Lewis Ringway, he's got a great way of covering those. So yeah, we should ask if he wants to come on. And if you're watching, Lewis, you're welcome to come on and talk about long wave stations
or anything else for that matter. It's always nice to have you. Yeah. But Mark, the thing is, don't use your own call sign when you set up the number station. That's
no. I mean, I could do that illegally, and I'm trying not to do that. But I would love to. Okay, all right. If we're going there, we're going there. So I did back in. Actually, it was after I was out of college, but a friend of mine was still in college. We did a little of a scavenger hunt thing that started on campus, and the trailhead was just this random QR code that we posted on cork boards around the area, and we put a little image of a white rabbit underneath it, and the whole thing was follow the white rabbit. And the QR code, there were actually 3 different QR codes. You combine them together and they make a RSA private key, private key that you would use to SSH into the server that did a bunch of stuff. And that was kind of the trailhead of this technological scavenger hunt that we did. And then I brought that over to DEF CON and started a thing called the DEF CON Darknet Project. If you're familiar with DEF CON, which is kind of a hackers convention in Las Vegas. And I did that for a number of years, and then it continued on past my involvement in it. But I've always kind of had this desire to set up a perpetual scavenger hunt that doesn't need support, that doesn't require my time to continue operating it, because my energy just kind of wanes and goes other places. So I want to spend a bunch of energy to set something up that'll stay there. And one of the ways I thought of doing that was to set up a like a Part 15 beacon, a high-fer or a low-fer beacon on 13.56 megahertz or something like that. But those are incredibly low power, obviously, to remain legal, and they're difficult to receive. And I live non-centrally to the country. In the United States, I'm in the very southwest corner. I guess for your picture, it's down here, in the very southwest corner of the United States. And so the people around me would be able to hear it, but most of the population is not near me. Anyway, so one of the ways I thought about to set up a beacon was to set up a low-fer beacon or some other Part 15, legal low-power transmitter, but put it near a WebSDR receiver, right? Make sure that transmitter is somewhere where it can be heard by many people on the internet. And I've just never got around to doing it. But I would love to put some beacon up there that is receivable by anyone, but actually uses RF and contains the private key, is beaconing the private key to some crypto something elsewhere or whatever. I just think it would be fun. It would be kind of a neat game, but I definitely want to do whatever I do. I want it to be legal. I don't want it to break any of the local laws.
Yeah, it sent me a QO100, for example. Probably hard from you, but from over here, that could work for most of Europe.
What is it? I'm sorry?
The QO100 satellite.
Oh, QO100. Yeah. There are a bunch of bent pipe satellites that are used by the military that have no protection on it, and there are a bunch of like Colombian gangs that use them.
Yep.
I don't know the details on it, but I believe those are geosynchronous. I don't know if they're geostationary, and they're over the Americas.
I think they're geostationary, and they're pretty much over the Atlantic, so they reach here as well.
Oh, okay.
I think it's about 250 megahertz. I'm not sure. And they're so strong that you can pretty much pick them up with an HT.
Oh, wow.
But yeah. It's probably still not legal if you want.
No, that is definitely not legal. Yeah,
it is not legal. It's
and in the U.S. at least, beaconing on ham radio isn't legal either. You're not supposed to beacon with the intention of a one-way transmission. It happens a lot with things like Whisper and other things, but that is against the spirit of what I'm talking about is against the spirit of that particular rule. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it on the ham bands.
How about using it with an FRS radio or something?
I think FRS has similar rules about broadcast.
What's FRS for the non-Americans?
Family radio service. It's the
similar to PMR 446 here.
Yeah.
Which someone here has done WinLink on.
Yeah, that worked really well.
Yeah, but I think you may need a bit of an amplifier if you want to reach the entire US with.
At 460 megahertz. Yes.
Yeah, but it's really fun when you go into some, like for example, the VR N76, like that portable radio that people are. And they have a Facebook group, and some people put all of the frequencies for that FRS in there for a ham radio transceiver. That was an interesting discussion further down there, to say it that way.
Oh, yeah. The best ham radio Facebook group for that is the group that is simply called Baofeng Radios.
Oh no, that is that's like 80 meters.
Oh, it's fantastic! But you're not happy with that radio, are you, Kjetil? You've been complaining about it.
Oh, actually, I'm considering making a video, but I've spent a lot of experimentation with it this week. I actually managed to get it to send APRS, which, considering all of the hype on how amazing that radio should be for sending APRS, is kind of surprising that it took me 3 days to make it send a single beacon. And
I think Morten's issue with APRS was not getting it to shut up when he was on other frequencies.
That was the mobile version with the firmware that doesn't upgrade because of a bug that's supposed to fix the firmware upgrade bug. But that radio sends APRS on a random memory in the channel. So, and with PL tones, just so you're sure that you're going to open every repeater with APRS traffic.
That's amazing.
So everyone in southeastern Norway, I'm really sorry I did that about a year ago. It won't happen again, at least not for me, because this guy has bought my radio.
Yeah, so basically, if you live in the southern part of Norway, if you hear APRS on a repeater, then it's on me.
But they released a few firmware versions throughout the week and last weekend, and one of them was so that if you keyed up, then it just stuck on TX, and the only way to get it unstuck was turning the radio off.
Oy.
Yeah, so the guys that make this are obviously not ham radio operators because of the terminology.
Not programmers.
And they're obviously not used to testing.
I've had some discussions with Vero, with the technical department regarding that radio that wouldn't upgrade. And the suggestions of things I could do told me that they had not particularly, they were not RF knowledgeable. Let's put it that way.
So, it is a sturdy radio. I would like to do it's a bit on the expensive end to do a durability test since I actually paid for the radio.
A durability test, is that like a will it blend kind of thing?
Okay, Mark, when you're done here, you need to go to Kjetil's channel and look at his Retivus RT43 videos.
Yeah.
To sum it up, he does durability tests with a log splitter, yeah.
Okay, got it. Nice.
Yeah, but that was the last one. So campfire, mud, dropped it from a roof, cut it with a weed whacker with a metal blade on it, and then in the log splitter and some other stuff. But
well done.
I think
the thing with that radio though is that Retivus sponsored me with that radio, and they sent me a message that said this radio is sturdy enough that you can drive over it. So of course I made a YouTube video where I drove over it. And
did it survive?
Yeah, it survived. It didn't get a scratch. Nothing cracked. It was a really sturdy radio. And then I got 2 radios, gave one to Kjetil, and Kjetil decided to one-up me on durability testing of that radio.
That was several up. Not one.
Yeah.
But the build quality is similar to what I saw on that Retivus, except that this has a monitor on it. It's interesting, but it's also what you see. A lot of people, when you see a lot of YouTube channels, everybody is saying that this is an amazing radio at the same time. Then, KM4ACK put a video out yesterday, I think, where he said that it's a good radio, but it's not as great as people claim it to be, basically. Yeah, that is correct. And that was what was I supposed when I bought it as well. So, over to the other side, we're talking about HTs. I got this one. It's ICOM IC E90. It's a 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and 6 meter radio that I picked up a few weeks back, and I can't get it to modulate anything. So that's going to be a fun project going over. It can't, when I send FM to it, it doesn't demodulate anything. And same when I send it, just sends the carrier. So I'm going to have a little look and see if I can dig up something fun inside here, which is probably way above my head.
Do y'all have the 6 meter band in Europe?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you had the 4 meter instead of the 6.
Yeah,
No,
we have both.
You have both. Oh, now you're just making me jealous. Got it. Okay.
The funny thing about the 4 meter band is that the band allocation is not the same throughout Europe. So finding a common frequency is sometimes a little bit hard.
Yeah.
And then again, I had a 4 meter antenna up for all of last summer. I heard one station didn't get a QSO with them.
Okay.
We
So
also have some countries with an 8 meter band, but that's coming to some places.
Oh, wow. We've only got a few minutes left before the top of the hour. There is one thing I would like to get out, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any
Mark.
of your viewers who still have not figured out what gifts they want to give to the ham radio operator in their life, I will point out that Halibut Electronics is having a 15% off everything in the store sale right now. If you go to electronics.halibut.com and use the coupon code Halibut Black Friday 2024, you will receive 15% off everything in your cart. So I wanted to make sure your listeners or viewers or consumers, whoever, whatever you call them, have an opportunity to take advantage of that. If you want to go get yourself a Halakey, operate CW remote on your Flex radio, or a eggnog antenna kit, or some OHIS hardware, or any of the other products that I sell, head to electronics.halibut.com. Thank you for letting me get my plug in.
No worries, Mark. And I got a question about the Halakey. And since you're here, it's probably better to go straight to the source.
Yeah.
Could you use, I think I've read somewhere or heard somewhere that could also be used as a PTT button.
Oh, yeah.
So the Flex.
Correct. So the all it is, Halakey, all it is an FTDI serial chip with the CTS connected to the tip of the 3.5 millimeter socket, and the DSR and DCD connected to the ring of a 3.5 millimeter socket, and then the shield connected to ground. So all it is a serial port with the control signals routed to a 3.5 millimeter socket. Add a little bit of debouncing and some Schmidt triggers and everything else to make it move a little bit smoother. And that's what it is. So anything that can be signaled and triggered by control signals on a USB serial port, Halakey can do. The Flex software, Smart SDR for Windows, will use it as a PTT. The Windows software does not have a built-in software keyer, so it will not do Morse code on its own. You need an external keyer. At that point, if you're buying an external keyer, you don't need Halakey. It will, the external keyer will do the parts that Halakey does as well. On Mac OS, however, it can be used as both a PTT and as paddles for the built-in software keyer on Smart SDR for Mac OS.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. I built a device like that, but it's not as good looking as the Halakey. So
right,
I might get one. And for those who wondered, this is where you set everything up in the Smart SDR Cat panel, if you're a Flex radio user. Apparently, I don't think a lot of people in the our Discord and community are, because my Flex videos don't get a lot of traction.
Yeah, but Mark, how long is that good for, that coupon code?
It goes until the end of tomorrow. So midnight, Monday night, Tuesday morning, Pacific time in the US, this coming, Monday, tomorrow.
Yeah, December 2nd, 3rd.
Yeah.
So could you repeat the codes?
If you're watching this live, that's 36 hours from now, yeah?
Yes.
About.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is the
Order
code
now.
again? The good news is the code is on the banner on the website. So when you go to the website, it'll be right there at the top of the website. But it is Halibut Black Friday 2024. I'll type it into the chat.
Great. Yeah, well, I saw it on the banner. So that is really good. And yeah, hope you get to get some good trade out of that as well. And,
Yes, this has actually been the most successful marketing thing I've ever done. Like
Nice.
I've got 20 orders already waiting for me that I need to fulfill by tomorrow. So
Yep.
Awesome.
Good.
And I need to go there and take a look and see what I can find when my wife is not watching.
Yeah. Did you notice how quiet Bob went after that was mentioned?
Yeah.
Because Bob is
10
in the
order
process
windows
of ordering
open.
something.
Yeah.
yeah, you'll see the coupon right there at the top of the
Yep.
banner of the page.
And I see this beautiful picture of the sword, Mark.
Yeah, I know. I need to. I keep taunting people by keeping that on the store.
And just regarding the common mode choke tester, though, I've seen that Sean Ham Radio Dude has been doing a lot of testing with that, so that probably will show up in a video.
Oh,
at some
nice.
point too.
So you'll hear it first here. I'm actually just started working on a digital version of that, as in for digital cables. So the exact same thing, but instead of having BNC, Type N, SO239, and SMA, it'll have an RJ45 and a 3.5 millimeter and various different USB and stuff like that. So if you ever want to build a choke on a digital cable, the CMC common mode current choke test rig will, the digital version of that test rig will have all the connectors for those.
If you also make a connector for optical cables, you can sell it to the hi-fi people.
No,
gold-plated optical connectors.
That's right.
That's the thing.
gold-plated ones.
Gold-plated optical connectors. I am an audiophile, not an audio fool.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And on that note, I think we're past the hour. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for being on today. And looks like we don't need a topic to make a great show and make an hour fly past.
Absolutely.
That was fun.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Getting me to shut up is the hard part. It's out of the box.
Oh, nice.
It is out of the box.
And just so you're prepared for next week, guys, we're having George from the Ham Radio Workbench over, and he's going to talk about the Adventure Radio Protocol, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. Is that
Nope,
what
that's
it's
it.
called?
Adventure Radio Protocol, yeah.
Yep, he's going to talk about that.
Getting him to shut up is hard, too.
Yeah, that'll probably run long as well. So just so you're prepared there. And thank you so much, Mark. See you guys next week. And make sure you buy something from Mark. 7-3, guys.
7-3.
Bye.
7-3.
Be good humans.